Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bondingan, your online learning platform. Now, this day we try to explore a concept which I guess you guys already have a working idea of, and that is partnership. Particularly partnership with government, private sector, and civil society organizations. I am Neri. I'm going to be your facilitator for the next 20 minutes, which I intend to cover basic concepts such as why we need to partner, who are the actors of partnerships, what are the principles of partnerships, what are the tools that we need to hone in order to build better partnerships. And then I want to share also live cases, real examples of products of good partnerships with civil society, government, and private sector. So, with the end goal of hopefully making all of you effective partnership builders for peace and development in your communities. All right, so let us begin. Okay, so let's start with the word partnership. When I say the word partnership, I know there's so many things that pop into your head. Partnership means, people coming together, pooling resources with a common goal. With so many technical definitions of partnership, I do want to share this definition I've found floating in the internet. It's a deliberate blending of capacities for the continuous mutual benefit of parties involved. Though, sounds fancy, but I think it captures what the essence of partnership is. It's really the blending of capacities, meaning you take note of your strengths and also take note of the other party's weaknesses and also strengths, and think of ways in which you guys integrate those strengths and weaknesses for a common goal for the mutual benefit of both parties. So try to have that mindset, that framing when we talk about partnership. It is a way for us to complement our skills with different parties, right? Now, when I say partnership, it's actually one of the global goals of the United Nations. In our Sustainable Development Goals, you can actually find SDG 17 as an evidence that partnership is an essential tool, an essential element for achieving all other goals. And you can see in SDG 17, we have here partnership for the goals as a sort of synthesizing goal of all the 16 other goals of the SDGs. And if we look further, SDG 17 actually provides, it means to strengthen the means of implementation and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development, right? So we can never discount how important it is, because we know na there's no entity or there is no person that has the monopoly of the capacity to do good. We always have to look for partners, right? And that's the whole point of this discussion. Now, it also matters because of this formula. 1 plus 1 is not 2, but 3. Though mathematically incorrect, it is a symbol of synergy. It is a symbol that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts if we all work together in a partnership. So in the next few minutes, I want to flesh this out into a real story by sharing actual cases. But have this number in mind. Partnership is you combine again your capacities to produce a greater outcome. That's the reason why we need to partner. Now let's also proceed to the next major thing I want to share. It's really, who are the actors of partnerships? And as the first slide suggests, we are looking at three actors: government, private sector or business, and then the civil society. And you have to also know the difference among the three, because they have actually different interests. And later you will learn that knowing the interests of the other party is actually a principle in building a strong partnership. So I invite you to look at the slide that I'm showing to you. Here is a triangle. Well, it's three actors in a with lines connecting each other, circling the word collaboration. Now, it's very, very important to see what each of their roles are. First, let's talk about government. Government is the enabler of society. At the same time, it also regulates society through the laws that it passes. Right? It has what we call police power. Its interest mainly is to apply the law, make the law, achieve peace and order in the community, right? And promote the objectives of government like peace, security, social justice, etc. So that is their interest, ideally. And when you negotiate with government, you have to address those targets, right? Now let's proceed with civil society. Civil society, who composes civil society? Well, for one, when you hear the word NGOs, they are part of civil society. When you hear of faith-based organizations, they are basically civil society. The academe can be considered part of civil society, right? And what they do normally is they advocate. They provide we call social mobilizations for certain advocacies. And then the third actor here is business, which is, we all know, is the private sector, where their main objective is the maximization of profit. So again, let's have a review of the three. In government, their main goal is really to promote peace and security, implement laws. They have what we call the monopoly of violence power. Civil society, on the other hand, advocates for certain specific interests like child protection or rights for the elderly or youth empowerment. Those organizations that advance those issues belong to civil society. And then lastly, business. Main goal is to maximize profit, create products, and sell them to the market. So each of these actors have their own interests. Now, as negotiators and partnership builders, you have to understand their main goals. Now that we know who are the actors of society in general, government, civil society, and business, we now proceed to another concept called accountability triangle. Now, I'm presenting this concept to you because I do think that partnerships with government it should also be a critical partnership, which means your role is not just to produce better services, but I think to also improve the overall institution of government. And that can be done through accountability. And this tool can be used when you try to strategize how you want to engage government. Do you want the short route, as you can see in the slide, or the long route? So let's briefly explain each. Now, as you can see in the triangle, the topmost is the policymakers. Sila ang gumagawa ng batas. They prepare and approve the budget. They set out ordinances. And then at the bottom right is public services. It's really how our government dispenses services. The processing of business permit, for peace, giving of relief goods, etc., etc. Now, as civil society, you can engage these things either long route or short route. Short route is you particularly engage the public services of your government, which means ano ang in-offer na services? As what I said, business processing, processing of papers, application of business permit, payment of taxes, etc., etc. Now, short route accountability, examples are you provide scorecards, which means you can grade the government with an A or a B You can also socially audit them, which means you check if this particular office is doing their job in accordance with law. And by doing so, you help them improve, right? That can be a basis of partnership, guys. Think of ways of how do we make partnerships with government that can help them improve. Now, in the long route accountability triangle, your target now here is to influence the policymakers through the changing of policy. It can manifest through a passage of an ordinance or the changing of priorities in a municipal budget. How do you do that? Consistent lobbying, advocacy work, even elections, very important. And this is considered long route because it's not immediate, right? The effect is not immediate. You don't see an immediate improvement of services. It's really the long-term policy development that hopefully would improve public services at the end of the day. Because you can see that red line there, because as policy changes, we expect that public services also change, right? So again, please put this accountability triangle in mind because it helps you label your engagement and your partnership with government, right? So you're not just there to partner and produce products and produce seminars, but at least think that you are also trying to improve the services and the quality of the institution of government. Now let's proceed to the principles of partnership. These are, I identified five simple principles of partnerships. The first one is you have to define what you want to achieve. Very simple, no? Let's try to imagine you are a youth organization. You want to, what is your definition of achievement? We want that this particular municipality would have a very comprehensive youth development agenda. That's your definition of achievement. That's what you want to achieve. And when you map out the actors in your community, you have the government, which can be the city government, the SK. You have civil society, which means you can partner with the school, with the university, with the academe, and then private sector. What interests do they want to have in the agenda? Do they want to have better quality education, etc.? So you can see from the beginning what you want to achieve, and at the same time, you begin to identify what are the interests of other groups that you can try to gather together and form a partnership. That leads us to the second point, which is know your common denominator. In our example, this youth organization now wants to form a youth development agenda, and that youth organization now identified potential partners. The next step is you have to know the common denominator, meaning what are your common interests. So as already mentioned, the business sector may want to have, they have a stake in the agenda because they want to hire qualified youth. So in your agenda, you provide there, I want the city or the municipality should invest in technical vocation programs, example. And in the civil society, they might want to have more investment in leadership formation. So you want to put that there in your agenda. And of course, government, the interest of government is they want to have a development program, right? So that's a win-win. All of the players have something to offer and they have something at stake in your plan. So that's easier for you to gather them together. That leads us to the third point, which is, your effort should be backed by law, data, and information. So what do I mean? I think much better siya if you can also have legal basis. I'm not just saying this because that's my background, but I think it's important. It gives more weight to your effort to build partnerships if you're backed by law. What do I mean? For example, in the local government code, it is actually provided for in law and in the policy of the law that civil society or organizations should be part of the decision-making process. That is a mandate of the law. You can invoke that in making your partnerships because, you could say to the mayor, we're here to help you actually fulfill one of the requirements of the law, which is partnership with civil society organizations. We are offering this service, we're offering this agenda, And it's up to you. I mean, it's for your benefit also to accept this and be part of your achievement. O, di ba? And also, it helps if you back it with data. Partnerships become more legitimate if it's backed with data and information. So when you form your youth agenda, in my example, it's better if you provide their data. It's more convincing, no? It's more concrete. Which leads us to our fourth principle of partnership. Then, because of these elements, you can begin to build trust and confidence. That is very essential because essentially, guys, the basis, the heart of partnership is trust and confidence. If there is no trust from the very beginning, it's very hard to sustain a partnership. That's true in government, that's true in love life, that's true in every sense of the word. You have to have trust and confidence for the partnership to flourish. And how do you build trust and confidence? Be transparent. Tell them your goals. These are our steps. These are the things that we want to achieve. This youth agenda should be achieved in the next 4 years. We will volunteer in this area, etc. So that builds confidence and trust. And finally, you report your progress and you celebrate. Reporting progress and celebrating progress builds confidence. It actually also strengthens the partnership bonds. So that is why it is important that in a partnership, you have to keep documents. You have to keep reports because that is the basis for your progress. I mean, you guys know these things, but I have just to put them in the context of partnership, how important it is for you to know them. Okay? Now, I'm gonna share 2 live cases, like actual products of partnership with government that I hope you guys could also think about and how you can apply the principles you've learned in your own contexts. The first one is this, the search for the most child-friendly police station. This is actually an example of a accountability partnership, short run, because this is actually a social audit where the youth organizations go to each of the 10 police stations of Cagayan de Oro City and grade each police station. Imagine, young people grade police stations on their compliance with child protection policies. And this has been running for 5 years now, and we're very proud of this. I think this is one of the first youth-led social audits in the country. And this is a partnership between the Oro Youth Council, the PNP, the DILG, the Balaod Mindanao. We have here so many other organizations that form the council that help monitor the police stations. Right? So it's possible because all of the partners that we have here have one common denominator, and that is promotion of children's rights. And we created a platform for them to achieve that in the context of police operations. The second example I want to share is the SPES. I don't know if you heard about SPES, but SPES is a government program for the employment of students. It's special program or summer program for the employment of students. So every year we have 20 days, I guess, where young people apply for jobs in the city for 20 days. And normally, when you apply for that job, normally, in our experience, your work is limited to stapler, I know, like administrative stuff, like staple ng papers, magtimpla ng kape, literally, like, that's the level of work that you do. No, that's not a problem about it. But when the Oro Youth came in, we were thinking about how do we improve this service. We cannot just let them just work there and staple papers, no? So what we did is we innovated this by partnering, again, partnership with civil society and the private sector. So we were given 100 slots of SPES students, and what we did is we partnered with the School of Education in Xavier University and the Institute for Leadership and Governance to develop a leadership track for SPES beneficiaries who want to improve their leadership skills, and then an education track where SPES beneficiaries with education background can help develop modules for the Xavier Night School. So you're now seeing here the convergence of various interests of various entities. The interest of government is we just want to employ students, right? And give them their allowance. The interest of Xavier and the institute inside it wants to develop modules and develop leadership programs. So we created a partnership, a platform where both can flourish, literally. So at the end of the program, we were very happy because they did not just earn money, they actually gained skills. And that's very unique. I think it's one of the earliest forms of youth private public partnerships. And we continue this every year. Right. So those are the examples. Again, we cannot achieve that without the help of the others. That's why partnership is, again, very important. And lastly, instruments of partnership. What do I mean by this? I think these are the things that you guys should learn to develop as a skill. Partnership is not just discarte. It's not just about your charm. It's also about skill. And practically, these are things that you need to master. You need to really know how to write a letter. Don't discount that because partnerships are formal relationships. You have to start it out with letters. You have to know how to write a letter. Second is how you should know how to write a concept paper where you can articulate your common objectives. And of course, you need to also know how to manage the meeting with your partners, right? Try to get their input. And lastly, I think that should be dapat walang space. But the fourth one, I think, is very important. You guys should learn how to also draft a memorandum of agreement because that is the formal heart of partnerships. And by having those skills, I guess you will become better partnership builders in your communities. So again, we've discussed a lot, and hopefully you guys learned many things. But I just want to say that you can never achieve it alone. You need the help of others. And partnership is the tool, it's the relationship, it's the formal relationship where you can achieve your goals together. Again, thank you so much for your time and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.